Hello, ballers and a brofist to you all! It is, in fact, Workshop Wednesday. Oh yeah, it feels like forever. It feels like forever since we had the workshop, doesn't it? It feels like such a long time ago. It was just a week, it's just 7 days ago. But it feels like I haven't done one in so long, which is surprising. I've only done a few. But I absolutely adore the workshop. The workshop is just like, yes! Workshop is awesome. I get to go over things you've been doing in the game, see where I can help you in some direct manner, which is really cool. On today's workshop, we're going to be looking at an Arms Warrior, a Resto Shaman, and of course, we're going to be looking at one of the brand new Throne of Thunder bosses. I think we're going to be looking at the boss, which will be the cock block, essentially. It will be the boss that's like, oh, this is going to be hard. This is going to be a fucking tough one. Okay, so we're going to be taking a look at that. It's not even going to be a kill. That's right, it's not even going to be a kill. We're just going to be assessing what this boss is like, what it's doing, so you guys are all prepared and get a good idea of what's going to be one of the more difficult bosses in the Throne of Thunder raid. I want you to be ready for it. It's going to be good to take a look at some of the mechanics going on in this fight. It's possibly the most complicated fight so far. There's a lot going on. A hell of a lot going on. Far more than we saw when we looked at the 4 Emperors. There's going to be a hell of a lot going on. So we're going to be taking a look at that. I think today, though, we will start in proper fashion with the Resto Shaman. I think we're going to look at the Resto Shaman. Resto Shaman kind of got a hard deal at the beginning of most expansions. This expansion, though, they didn't actually get too rough of a deal at all. The reason I chose this one, there's a few things I think are worth looking at. Definitely to sort of improve play. I'm certainly not one of the best Resto Shamans in the world by any means, by any means whatsoever. But there's still some basics we can look at and take some ideas from that. But in fact, the email I was sent was of the lines of, dude, I know I fucked this up really badly. And then I reviewed it and I was like, you didn't fuck it up. You actually fell into a common trap, which is very much associated with raiding at an early level, where we try and blame somebody. You've all been there, right? Who did that? You wiped us. Oh, it's your fault. You're the one that fucked us up. Can somebody tell me who did this? And you get the blame. You get the blame when in fact when we review what actually happened is that wasn't the cause for us being in this situation actually at all. It wasn't like that. We just look for someone to blame. And a lot of early raid leaders and sort of early to mid-level raid guilds like to focus the blame on one particular person. They like to channel it and they like to say, oh, you fucked us up. You fucked us up there. When in fact, it was a combination of many, many things that led to this situation occurring. And that's what I want to look at today. Because the guy sent me the email, I kind of got the impression from the email that he did get the blame. Which I don't think he deserved. I don't think he deserved it. In fact, I actually thought he responded very, very well to what was already a really bad situation. This is going to be taken from the 10-man Feng the Accursed. Not a particularly difficult fight by any means. In fact, LFR gives you a good idea of how this fight works. I will say overall, the guild in question plays the fight really well. They have a good idea of what to do, which is quite common in the lower to mid-level guilds, is we kind of know what we need to do here, right? We've seen videos, we've read strategies. Go and watch this video, it tells you what to do. So you kind of know what you need to do. What you don't know is why you do it. Right? A big, big problem. This is a huge problem that affects all of the lower-end guilds. You see that a guild that killed this fight all gathers at a particular point, although you're not exactly sure why they did it. Another aspect we're going to be looking at, which is awesome for healers, is the idea of responsive healing and predictive healing. Two completely different types. One is considerably worse than the other. Responsive healing is quite poor. Responsive healing doesn't really get us to those top-end kills. What does is predictive healing. We know this situation is about to happen, therefore we can be prepared for it and we know exactly what we're going to do. So for the beginning, we're going to look at the basics, the UI, and give you a kind of idea. It's kind of based a little bit off my UI, but it's got a combination of other things going on. So I always like to see what you guys make of this. So we're going to jump into this game right now. There it is. Oh yeah, our wonderful Resto Shaman. And I'm going to play the first 30 seconds or so, as you guys like to do. As you guys like to see the first 30 seconds, and I particularly like to do it. I want you to make good note of he's tracking his Tidal Waves buff. This increases his haste in casting other spells. Lovely tell me when there, or a weak aura. and also tracking this, which is the cooldown on his healing stream totem. Healing stream totem is massively important. For the amount of mana it costs, it provides a ton of healing, an absolute ass metric ton of healing. I really, really like this. I think it's pretty cool. Pretty damn cool. So we're going to just watch this. You're just watching for the UI right now. Nothing more. Just want to make sure you guys have got a good idea of what we're looking at the screen and getting a good idea for it. So we want to see what's going on. Want to see what's happening. Want to see what's happening. See what's coming in here. It's a big fucking icon. It's a big fucking icon. The paladin hasn't buffed mastery. Oh my god. Two sets of raid frames. Combat text overlapping too hard. Which could lead to something we're going to talk about soon. Which is cool. Bit messy for me. Too much stuff. Bum, 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 bum. I actually want to go to here. So it's going to be around about here. And then I'm going to give you a good idea of a point that I want to make about this UI overall. So watch this. You've got the wildfire sparks, the damn wildfire sparks. You can see the raid moving away. They're fully aware that they do have to move away. Not much coordination in where they're planting wildfire sparks, but that's kind of something you deliver on heroic. This is what I want to show you. Boomf. Look at this. Look at this situation. This is when you know there's something wrong with your UI, when quite literally you have so much information going on your screen that you can barely actually see what the hell is happening. If you actually look at the free space available here to see what's actually happening around him, there is very, very little left when this happens. There are so many warnings here. You've been affected by Wildfire Spark. Feng's got that. You've got Draw Flame coming from this side, and you've got Draw Flame being taught there. Wildfire Spark on you again, noted there. And you've got this going on. You've got your cast bar there. You've got this going to the edge, which is pretty cool. Go to the edge, telling you what to do over here. There is a huge amount of information being thrown at you at once. In fact, there's so much information. There is so much information, you cannot possibly take it all in. And that's when it becomes a problem, right? Everybody likes having the information to hand, what the fuck is going on. But at this stage, my god, you can't take that all in. You absolutely cannot take all that information in. And therefore, good, solid, important information really gets lost. It has to be lost. Because you can't take all that in. It would take me at least 10 to 15 seconds just to read through what every piece of information that's going on this screen. Therefore, important stuff, I can't really take it all in. There's Draw Flame on him. There's a third Wild Spark going on. He's drawing the flame, and now I've got Wild Spark on me. But also there's Draw Flame ending in 5 seconds. I now need to go to the edge. There's a heal coming in there. This guy's over here. All sorts of crazy nonsense going on. This is just so much information. It's far too much. A nice way to remove this would be to either turn off some of the messages that you're getting through your boss mods. I would note that the map is quite large, so I would expect that this is actually quite a low resolution. If I see a map that large, I tend to believe this is of a lower resolution. It's a very large map. If not, go ahead and make that smaller. There are double raid frames going on. You've got the same raid frames here as you have here. Well worth switching one of those off. This is just wasted information because you're using this, obviously. So go ahead and turn one of these off. And the important information for healers is grid and this. You need to know what's going on here. Now, I'm very wary of tracking things like Innovate on other people, Tricks of the Trade on other people. I don't think you need to know that. If anything, the maximum thing you need to be knowing about is just the cooldowns on things like Innovate. I would also note that you've got a focus on Feng. You've also got your boss mod tracking Feng. So you've got two things. Now, healers tend not to need either of these. You tend not to need either of these because people you're targeting tend to be targeting the boss. Okay? You have three views of Feng's current percentage. 3 views. You've got it up here, you've got it down here, and you've got it up here. The nice thing to do with a healer is you're able to heal the raid and keep something like your tank on focus. Very easy to do that and actually much more useful to track things like that. I like if you don't even need that, then you just don't need a focus frame. You don't really need it because you can see this information quite naturally. It's actually in the middle of your screen. Out of all these that are added, the boss mod has added this and you have added this with a focus frame. The actual most useful one is here. Because this is where you're looking. You're looking near grid, and you can see it easily within the same eyesight. In your peripheral vision of where you're looking, you can see that relatively easily. So you've no need to do that. Just this UI needs condensing. In the base format, this is why I always ask you if you submit to me a UI for some sort of discussion, is that you do it in combat, because that's when I can really see what the hell is happening with your UI. Loads of people have a good UI. If we were to go back to here, we would go back to, and we look at a UI when you're out of combat, it actually doesn't look too bad. And this is where people usually make the mistake, is they set up the UI very easily out of combat. They stand in Orgrimmar or they stand somewhere else and they set up their UI. And we think it's pretty good. If we look here, this UI is not too bad now. When we're out of combat, there's barely any information here. Look how wide open our screen is. While we're configuring our UI to be nice and clean, hell, everything is wide open and nice. Really, really nice. It's actually wide open. It looks pretty cool. It looks pretty damn cool. It's all nice and open. All we've got here is frames. And then we get into combat and holy shit, all sorts of crazy information's going on. And it's a little bit crazy. For a healer, this is actually your most important piece of information. And as been pointed out, is your MSBT actually covers this. Now, I can only suggest that you're not actually paying attention to this, which you should be in order to predict incoming damage, okay? When damage is about to land, that's when it's important. It's not about, oh, tank's dying, I need to heal that right away. Oh, shit, suddenly the raid's taking a ton of damage. Now I need to fix that situation. It's more about, oh, they're going to do this in a few seconds. Maybe I should get some healing ready. I can use this, I can use that, and I've got all these tools ready, and it's less of a stressful experience. Much less of a stressful experience healing when you do it in that manner, which is really, really nice. So I'm going to play the first few seconds. Now, some general notes as we play through this. It's at 9 minutes and 30, which is, yep, here. It actually played kind of cool. But we do tend to slack a little bit. Towards the end of this fight, we're actually not going to have any mana issues. One of the things I want to point out here is that, yes, you're doing your chain heals and stuff. Always nice to get like a healing rain down. This is all top-up kinds of damage. One thing we really slack on, although we've got that big tell me when and that big power aura about our healing stream totem, is we don't actually drop it very many times. Instead, we prefer to cast sort of chain heals and stuff like that. It's much easier just to keep that thing on cooldown and get it used. You know, at the beginning of the fight, this is the interesting, and this is where it kind of goes wrong. This is what happens at the beginning of the fight. He runs in, right? He runs in, he gets his healing stream down like a boss, gets that cooldown ticking, gets down a searing tome, gets down the Stormlash tome, does everything he needs to do in the first few percentages of the fight. As the fight progresses, though, and we start to move around, these things sort of slip. Our basics just fall apart, and we're like, ugh, I don't know what to do. Very easy for people to be very comfortable with the first few seconds of the fight. Can we maintain it? Remember in the workshop where we looked at method, defeating the 4 kings, is that we saw that at the beginning of the fight, at the end of the fight, we had also reverted back to the beginning of the fight in terms of position, in terms of what we're doing. It's maintaining everything throughout the fight. The beginning of the fight is dead easy, really relaxed, sorting the tank out. Everything was really, really easy. So we've got this down, we've got our totems down, we're doing our lightning bolts, we've got our healing stream on cooldown. As we go through this fight, we're actually going to see that these things start to slip quite majorly. And we start just slacking a little bit. It's not really slacking, it's more being focused on other things like, oh my god, my tank's taken a shitload of damage, now I need to start spamming Greater Healing Wave, all this kind of stuff, who do I heal now? When these, not mistakes, but when these moments happen, we start just forgetting our little basics, and that's not cool. It's not cool. We've got now Healing Stream is something you realistically want to be keeping on cooldown. It's not going to be used again for a little while, which is kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame. General gameplay is actually really cool. We've got the tidal waves. We've got 2 things here tracking tidal waves. Again, not necessary to have multiple information. If you're using class timer or something like that, then fine. Use one or the other. We don't need 2 things tracking our tidal waves. One is perfectly acceptable. We don't need that. But again, we can see there's little AoE damage and all this kind of stuff going on. Our healing stream should be being used right now. We should be keeping that bad boy on cooldown. For its mana cost, great amount of healing. And we don't get stressed. We don't get stressed. We have lots of tools in the toolbox. Very important to keep a good eye on them and make sure we're getting the best out of them, which is pretty cool. As we move down the fight, we're going to continue to run into these basic areas. As you can see, healing streams still not being used. Now, throughout, one of the things that really interested me about this fight is you don't have any mana trouble, which means you can afford to be a little bit free with your mana. You can keep that healing stream down. You can keep down the healing rain. You can do all these kind of things. You can keep it down, and that's going to just keep topping people up and prevent a lot of extra damage. So be a little bit more greedy with your mana. Throw it away a little bit. One thing I did note is that you never used Mana Tide Tome. Not once. We didn't use Mana Tide Tome, which is just crazy. Mana Tide Tome is something we want to throw out as soon as we possibly can, really. We want to get that thing on fucking cooldown, don't we? We want to fire that bastard down and get it used. We want to use it and get it out there so we can use it again throughout the fight. Again, then we could be more liberal with our mana. It's no medals for finishing a fight with full mana. There is never going to be an award for that. If you finish a fight with full mana, people are actually going to start looking to bring less healers. That's what's going to happen. If you're finishing a fight with full mana, people are going to be like, well, we obviously have too many healers for this fight, right? We can kill this guy faster because obviously the healing isn't that intense. And we don't want that to happen. You don't want to you don't want to replace yourself. Essentially get yourself replaced. So I can continue on. And he actually does pretty well. You see the lightning bolt down. Finally uses a healing stream again. It is about a 1.5-minute gap between there where we can have essentially 3 healing streams. And as you can see, we're still at 80% mana. Boss is at 50%. We're still at 80% mana. Very comfortable with this fight. I would assume you've killed this several times. Very, very comfortable. And you can see Spirit Link is not used. Neither is healing Mana Tide. Not been used yet at all. See, you're thinking here. This is interesting. This is interesting. I can see you don't have Healing Tide bound. Oh, you appear to have it on Alt 8, I believe. It looks like a key binding there is Alt 8. But what I do see is you mouse over Healing Tide. Now, this was a good sign. This was a really good sign of some predictive healing. Okay? This is going to be the big draw flame. Perhaps I need to drop a Healing Tide. Now, you moused over it ready. If you're going to do this, get this keybound, because what happens is you essentially stop doing anything else while you're considering should you use it. That decision needs to be instant. They're so important that you need to do it. Clicking heroism. Come on! Come on! We need to click. Don't want to click heroism. Wildfire Spark on you. Your situational awareness is actually really good. It's actually really, really good, which is why I wanted to bring this video to attention. Again, there goes the Healing Tide. Fine, got it clicked, got it down. But when you're mousing over like that, you've prevented yourself from clicking any other player. Really prevented yourself from doing anything else, which is not what we want to do. You want to have that keybound for sure. It's very important to get those kind of keybounds done. Wild Spark again, moving out like a boss. Dropping it, and eventually moving back. There we go. Getting back into the action. The next important bit happens in about 10 seconds. Okay, so what's going to happen? Let's ask the stream. Phase 3, what's going to happen? What is going to happen here? We really need to know. This is why predictive healing is really very important. There's a situation about to occur, and we know it's about to happen, right? There you go. Arcane Resonance, Arcane, Arcane, Arcane. It's going to bomb the whole fucking raid. You know it's going to happen, and I know that you know it's going to happen. We're fully aware this is going to happen, right? Oh, Phase 3, the Arcane shitstorm is about to hit the fan. Going to need to do a lot of healing. Preferably be what DPS cooldown. This is a great example where the guild knows what to do. They know what to do, but they're not prepared for it in the way that also occurs. Very easy to watch a video of everybody gathering. Oh, they just gather in this phase and they barely take any damage. There's actually so many other things going on when a guild gathers like that that you really need to watch out for it. It's so important that you know what's going to happen on top of actually moving away. We've got Arcane Velocity and Arcane Resonance about to hit. Going to be a shit ton of damage. You have at your disposal lots of cooldowns. Spirit Link, Healing Stream, all these kind of things, Healing Rain. You know it's going to be positioned in the middle of the room. You know this is going to happen. You've done this fight before. I can tell you've done it before. So he brings to the middle of the room. If this was me, I instantly would not have dropped that Healing Stream right there. I want to save that for the big AoE fight that's about to happen. Now your Healing Stream is on cooldown. Oh, no! Healing Stream's on cooldown when I really need it. Shit. Again, the predictive moment of healing. Healing Stream is now on cooldown. Fuck. That's bad. I want that in a moment. Shouldn't have done that. I would also get the Healing Rain right down here because you're about to gather there. Therefore, Healing Rain is going to be really, really cool. What we see happen is actually a little bit of flustering going on. Get in position. Just trying to cast some chain heals. But oh shit. Oh shit. Arcane Velocity. And look what happens. We finish this chain heal cast. We then start moving in. And we actually do not cast a heal for quite some fucking time. We still have not cast a heal. There's only 2 seconds left on Arcane Velocity. The whole raid is nearly dead. And now we're just about, as you can see the green icon going around here, we're now just thinking, I need to drop a Healing Rain. Okay? We need to drop a Healing Rain. Those last few seconds right there is like, oh shit. It's almost as if you didn't know it was about to happen, but you do. You do know it's about to happen. We can't use Healing Tide. We're on 2 minutes. Here, this is your situation. This should be ready to go. We don't want this being used. We want a Healing Rain down right here before they even get there. Here's your timer. This is your most important thing as a healer. Most important thing. And it's covered by a crappy range radar. You have 5 seconds until Arcane Velocity. In those 5 seconds, you can do so many things in those 5 seconds. You've got a Disc Priest in this raid. I can tell. They had ridiculous amounts of healing while nobody was apparently taking damage. Yay, Disc Priest, right? You've also got a Resto Druid. This is the most serious healing moment of this fight. You should have Spirit Links, Healing Tides, Barriers, Tranquilities. All this shit is available to you via those 3 healers. But what happens is it's kind of like, I just don't know what to do here. I don't know. It's almost as if I'm not prepared. Not prepared. But you have all these things ready. Healing Rain going down. Arcane Velocity in 3 seconds. I want to see a Healing Stream getting ready to be dropped. There goes the Arcane Velocity. And look, all this damage is being taken. And only now do we think about casting that Healing Rain. Look at the state of the raid before we cast this Healing Rain. Look at the state of the raid. In a very, very bad situation. Very bad situation. I can see from here, this is the worst part, right? This is the worst part ever, is that Grid actually tells a lot of stories. If you know what you're looking at, Grid tells a lot of stories. What we can actually see is that the Disc Priest just shielded himself. The Disc Priest is like, oh shit, I need to heal myself. You can kind of see that not many people were ready for this. That shield tells me a lot of things. It tells me a lot of things. It's like, oh fuck, we're about to die. I'm shielding myself, right? Shielding myself. Fuck everyone else. I'm not going to spam Prayer of Healing. I'm not going to put down Power Word Barrier. I'm just going to shield myself. I love that. I love that. If you know what you're looking at, funny shit. Oh, I'm going to be alright. I'm gonna. Your answer's gonna be okay. And then you get this. Is why you sent me the email. Okay. You got Arcane Resonance, and that Arcane Resonance does kill 3 people. It hits 5 people for 1,068,000 damage. But that is on 5 people. Okay, not the end of the world. He does get Arcane Resonance. Now, he said in the email, it said to me, dude, I know I killed 3 people with my Arcane Resonance. And I'm sure what fucking happened here is the obvious. The raid leader was like, you just wiped us because of your Arcane Resonance. Right? That's the situation. You're a fuck up because your Arcane Resonance just killed like 5 people. Well, yeah, my Arcane Resonance did hit people, but we were dead well before that. We were dead well before that. The raid should never have been in this situation in the first place. The actual problem that happened here is, yeah, kind of like a healer fault, we didn't prepare for this. We didn't have a barrier. We didn't have a tranquility. We didn't have a spirit link. We didn't put down healing stream. We didn't have healing tide. We had all these fucking things available to us that would have kept the raid almost topped. The boss is nearly dead. The boss is nearly fucking dead. We had all this available to us, and you're blaming me for the Arcane Resonance? He moves instantly. This is the good thing. For considering everything else that's going on, your situational awareness was really good. Let's watch it again. This is the bit I really want to stress. There's the Arcane Velocity. We move in. We know we're supposed to gather. We flumber a bit. We definitely, fluster what's going on. We've already got one guy. Arcane Resonance. He's out. It barely touches anybody. He's out instantly. But I'm sure he got the shit for that. I'm sure. He responded perfectly. For that strategy, he responded perfectly. I've got Resonance. Gets the fuck out of there. Instantly. He was straight away. You can't move faster than that. Maybe Ghost Wolf, but we're really nitpicking, right? He's still going to get the same fucking ticks. That's still going to happen. The problem that happened here is we're aware of what needs to happen on this fight. We gather up. We heal through it. Yeah, but you can prevent a lot of damage there. The big tips, the big thing I want you to go away with is, one, a lot of pre-planning of your healing stream and much more use of it. We still finish this fight having Spirit Link not used, Healing Tide not used, and Healing Rain barely ever used. Overall, the standard gameplay is actually pretty cool, but there are bigger problems here. bigger problems than anything else. Let's really get those things keybinded, okay? Things like Healing Tide. There we go. We move in again. It's the same situation, but we've got much less people now. At least our Disc Priest is still alive. Am I right? Am I right? Disc Priest is fine. Disc Priest is going to be okay. Disc Priest is going to be all right. He's going to shield himself. He's going to be all good. In general, you did really well. And what I want you to take away from this is if you start getting the blame from this kind of situation, there are many more things that went wrong than you. And you actually did really, really well. You're thinking about Spirit Link. Again, get that key binded. The mouse over a Spirit Link really bothers me. They're more important to be key binding than almost anything, okay? They're so fucking important. There we go. Astral Shift, get that key bound as well. These are things you need to be reacting to instantly. Absolutely instantly. And again, you know that Arcane Velocity is coming. Let's get a Healing Rain down. Let's get that healing stream down. I imagine you're very panicked at this situation, so we're not going to pull too much information from here, from gameplay-wise. But overall, you actually did really well with your environmental awareness, which was cool. Really nice to see a healer with good environmental awareness. But those cooldowns are very important. Let's get them keybinded. Really, we need them fast, we need them now, and be more attentive. Let's get rid of all this crap in the middle. The stuff that is on, this is on me. We don't need 4 lines of text that you have something going on. In fact, what you need is what's about to happen in front of you. When is Arcane Velocity? When is Arcane Resonance? If we knew, if we paid more attention to this, we would have had a lot more healing done during that Arcane Velocity. Our raid would have been nowhere near, and we would have seen that Arcane Resonance is about to hit. We could have preemptively moved, and we wouldn't have even hit those 3 people. We wouldn't have killed them. Oh, Arcane Resonance is in 2 seconds. I'll start moving out now. Right? That's what you want to see happening. Things like that. Oh, Arcane Resonance is about to hit. Let's get the fuck out of there. Let's get the fuck out of there. So it's really cool. Good video. Good video. I'd like to see a follow-up if possible. Follow-ups if possible. On to our next video. I kind of want to go a little bit quicker through this. Half the welly with me. Maybe. We're going to be looking at a arms warrior inside LFR before we get to the throne bosses, the throne boss that we're going to look at tonight. One of the big problems arms warriors tend to have is AoE. Alright? Fury AoE, and warrior AoE in general is not something that's kind of looked upon properly. And not a great deal of care has been taken. What we actually see when we see a lot of warriors AoEing, or in fact a lot of people AoEing, is we have an idea of what we want to do, right? We know what we want to do. We want to do a ton of whirlwinds in general, right? We want to whirlwind as much as possible. We have a lot of mobs to kill. I want to whirlwind as much as possible. What we do in that situation is we start spamming things like whirlwind, and then when we haven't got the rage for it, we kind of just start pressing other crap instead, and then suddenly we fuck ourselves over. And again, the basics fall apart. We know what we want to happen. We want this to happen, which is to AoE the shit out of this situation. But in doing so, we kind of lose the path, and we forget the basics. The most important part about making sure you can always whirlwind and always do things like that is actually making sure your Mortal Strike is always on cooldown, because that's what gives you your rage. Okay? That's where your rage is coming from. We're going to be looking at this arms warrior. I'm going to do the usual UI business. Okay, so here's our arms warrior. Looking good, looking good, looking really good. And he pulls at 220. There we go. In he goes. So we want to look at the UI and anything that you notice. I always like seeing what the stream can get out of this. And things that you might notice yourself. If you're watching yourself on the stream, this is your workshop. Things that you might go, oh yeah, I never really noticed that happening. Huh, interesting. Omen. Omen's on. We're good. We're good. We've got Omen. I just want to point this out because this is going to be quite an extended little bit of play. Is the fact that where is it? It's coming up now. Bum, 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 bum. There's some lag spikes in here. Don't worry about it too much. Is the use of disrupting shout actually? I actually thought this was really, really nice. Is that you're well up to speed on your interrupts. I love that. I love any player who is up to spec on his fucking interrupts. I absolutely adore that. Interrupts are so fucking good. Really sort of, if you've got your interrupts sorted before the basic gameplay, then you're going to be in good shape later down the line. You really, really are. That's one of the hardest things to get a melee to do regularly, is be able to interrupt properly. I think that's enough looking at the UI. See what you guys have got to say. See what you go. Boss mod too small. Nice UI. Bloodthirster. Hooray for Skull Banner. This is not a Fury Warrior, by the way. I see a lot of people telling me that you should have used Bloodthirst. No. In fact, when I say a lot of people, I'm going to call you out. Ghost. Ghost K-Witch. It must be the name Ghost. Yeah? Didn't use Bloodthirst. Noob. Get rid of all very small buttons. Berserker Rage, thanks to Rage. I don't believe so. Solid UI. Okay, we're more than happy with the UI. Good shit. There is a... Oh, in fact, there's a very distinct issue that actually comes from the play. And it's nothing to do with UI. It's the idea that I think I've probably put a lot of effort in. I put a lot of effort into maintaining. Is that your focus should always be on the middle of the screen. Right? Ooh, dick fingers. Hey! Your focus should always be on the middle of the screen. In doing so, this is something that can happen from that. Is you start doing this, and you don't know what you're pressing. Right? Something you don't know what you're pressing. You're pressing the things that you think are right. Like I say, we know we want to whirlwind. I just want you to watch. You can see what buttons are being pressed. You're going to see a lot of spam on sort of random keys that are on cooldown. See, overpower spam there. And look at how long our Mortal Strike is on off cooldown. Bum, 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 bum. Now, this comes from trying desperately, I believe, to focus on what's going on in the screen. As such, our interrupts and stuff are really, really good. The secondary stuff that we want to master to become a really, really good player is actually really, really good. Those interrupts, using Disrupting Shout, using pummels, all that kind of stuff is really good. Our basics have hugely suffered as a result of that. Our absolute basics. Mortal Strike, 6-second cooldown, generates the majority of our rage. Every second we delay something like Mortal Strike, our DPS suffers massively long term. Really, really suffers a lot. Because we're just missing out on rage. And rage is the fuel to burn these motherfuckers to the ground, right? We need this shit. This is where your tell me when and stuff comes in really handy. To get these stupid small buttons. I guarantee... Yeah, exactly. Like Ghost said there. I guarantee you felt rage-starved in this fight. Like, oh, I want to AoE it down. I know what I need to do. I need to AoE this shit to bits. But I feel rage-starved. And, oh, look, Mortal Strike's actually on cooldown for extended periods of time. And that's kind of like... That's the problem. That's one of the initial problems. Some people are saying sweeping strikes. With this many mobs, you're not really going to sweeping strikes. What you're actually going to do is keep whirlwinding. It's going to do a lot of good stuff. So there's a few basics I want to go over. So I'm going to play it from essentially here. Now, the big one is... okay. We're a few seconds in. The boss is down to 86%. What's wrong? Can you see what's wrong? It's actually quite difficult to see with that silly media player thing popping up. But there is a huge, huge problem. Huge, huge problem. Oh, go on, disappear. Be a gem and disappear. That would be really nice. No one is sending... I haven't had a single monk video. I will point out a single monk video. I'm going to play this. I want you to spot what the problem is. No. Ooh, kind of. Horsey's almost there. Horsey's almost there. Clue's in the bottom left of his buttons. He has a PvP trinket. Come on. It's got to be standing out to any warriors out there. I want you to ignore everything else. Banner, close. Global's getting closer. Getting closer. No, not sweeping strikes. Oh, come on. Nobody can spot this? Guys. Yay! McLovin! Fucking hell. Warning. No DPS cooldowns were used during this fight. Oh my god. There we go. Look at everyone now. Avatar. Dead easy. Spotted it ages ago. No DPS cooldowns at all were used. Now, I can kind of see the idea at the beginning of this, but this is a longish fight. You're going to get to use them twice, okay? The tell me when is that the advanced stuff is there. The advanced stuff is there. We know when we're under the effects of Skull Banner from anybody in the raid. Mwah. Wonderful. We need to know that. As a warrior, we need to know if somebody else has dropped Skull Banner, and he has that. Fails to do the basic thing of blowing the fucking cooldowns and destroying. We're a warrior, for Christ's sake. If we're fighting, we're killing, right? We're a warrior. If we're fighting, we're killing. We want to kill some shit. And that means we go to avatar mode and we go fucking crazy and we blow the fuck out of it, all right? Those DPS cooldowns need to be used. Yes, this guy has a greater damage taken later in the fight. We're going to get to use them again. It's fine. It's fine. Get in there. Blow those fucking cooldowns. The pull of any fight. I cannot stress this enough. No matter how many workshops I do, the pull of any fight is the only time, essentially, you will ever get the buffs that you get at the beginning of a fight. Which means you blow the fuck out of the boss. Alright? You blow it the shit up. And you go mental crazy. Absolutely mental crazy. I want to see you blow it up. Okay, so let's talk about some basic gameplay stuff. I want to move on to the Thrones boss. In general, it looks like you were really focusing on paying attention to the middle of the screen, which is great. Absolutely love that. I want to reiterate to people who are playing ARMS is that Taste for Blood also works with Cleave. So make sure you actually use Cleave in fights like this, where you get the majority of Cleave, it buffs it as well. And we are feeling Rage Starved. That is purely down to not using Mortal Strike enough. Nothing more, nothing less. Everything else is essentially free, okay? Everything else is essentially free. I will point out this is changing. In a fight like this, where you're doing a ton of AoE, you should really never be able to use Slam. You really should not be able to use it, because you want to get that Whirlwind. A Slam for 60k or 100k or whatever is not going to be a 221,000 Whirlwind. Not going to happen. You can see Mortal Strike still not used. It's those 1 second delays. It's the 1 second, 2 second delays on Mortal Strike that make you feel bad. They make you suffer immensely. They really do. It's the 1 to 2 second delays. Because it's such a short cooldown. It's just 6 seconds. It's just 6 seconds. It's such a short cooldown that you really take advantage. He is in a stance. He's in battle stance. It's such a short cooldown that is so important. It's vitally important. It really is vitally important that I want you to be just ensuring that bastard is used all the time. Absolutely all the time. And trying to... I would use the... You're really obviously able to use Tell Me When and such like that. I would just, for practice sake, go away... Put a Tell Me When up for Mortal Strike, and your muscle memory, I assume it's your little finger pressing Mortal Strike, usually is, or your index or whatever, is just to go away and just make sure that that Mortal Strike is on cooldown. You can see then again, 2-3 second delay on Mortal Strike. It's just so much rage that is no longer existing. So much rage. Again, cooldown, there we go. I know we had some lag spikes, that's fine. It's no problem at all. Lag spikes happen, we're fine with that. UI is fine. Everything is there, but we're forgetting the basics. Absolutely forgetting the basics. And as such, our DPS just feels horrible. We feel rage starved. And then we start saying things like, well, I like my warrior, but I don't get enough rage. Right? Yes, he's using stance. He's using stance. He's using stance. Don't worry about it. He's in a stance. That's fine. The other thing I want to note as well, I think is well worth noting, is the improvement of Mortal Strike will make this much easier to DPS, because you're going to have a lot more rage. Just watch that you're using Cleave where appropriate, especially with Taste for Blood. Try not to mix anything else in there. I also want to put a big point that your talent like Shockwave, Dragon's Roar, or Blade Storm is hugely important. I think you use Shockwave almost 3 times only throughout this fight. You can see it's not been used there. It's on the right hand side, below the Windlord logo. And Deadly Calm. Deadly Calm is being removed from the game, so I don't want to say too much about it. But if you have something that definitely reduces the rage of things that cost a lot of rage, like Heroic Strike and Cleave, you just want to pop Deadly Calm before you fire one. But you can see Shockwave is still sitting there. Shockwave is still sitting there, okay? Shockwave is just sitting there, and it's sitting there through most of the AoE phase. We just skip back to the big AoE phase. I would pick a point where you just used it. Lol. You see points like this where you've got all these mobs and Shockwave's just sitting there. Really need to get that bad boy out there. Get that Shockwave used. It's so much damage. And this is where, again, a good Tell Me When can let you know. You don't really need a Tell Me When for Overpower. You know it's going to proc as soon as you fire off a Mortal Strike. You're aware of that. You can glance at it if it procs again. And it does have that nice glowy effect. But things like Mortal Strike, get a Tell Me When for Mortal Strike. And just get used to making sure you're using best use of it. And you will, I guarantee you'll see so much extra rage throughout the duration of a fight. You're going to have a good time. Berserker Rage as well. It's nice to mix in. But again, that Shockwave. There you go. You finally use it there. It's a 20-second cooldown that does 300,000 damage. 20-second cooldown that does 300,000 damage. Get a tell me when for it. Get used to it being part of the fight. Get it used to it, okay? Really feed it. Awesome. Good shit. But a good start. The thing that really gets me that is good about this, okay? That really gets me about this is that all the secondary stuff that takes you from being an average player to a good player is already there. You're widespread interrupting. You're fully aware of environmental awareness. That is all golden. It's golden fucking Richards, right? Everything else, though, the basic stuff, the really simple stuff, is a bit dildo baggins, and we need to pick that up. You pick that up, you are going to be one of the best warriors. I guarantee it. A PvE warrior, you're going to be really, really good. Once you master these little basic things, because that's the easy shit. The basic stuff is the real easy shit. The secondary stuff that you're already doing, that's the stuff people really struggle with. You're already doing that. Let's just work in those basics, and you're going to be fucking awesome. You're going to be really, really good. Okay. For our final part, we're already at 40 minutes. And I haven't got a drink. And my throat is raw. That's good news, isn't it? We're going to be looking at the twin consorts in the Throne of Thunder raid. Now, this is not going to be a boss kill, by any means. This is just going to be a good look at this fight. The twin consorts is the 11th boss in the Throne of Thunder. And it is... I can predict this is going to be one of the big... fail boats for a lot of people. Unless this fight looks very nicely tuned and very hard. They're going to look at its normal mode. Obviously, they're still testing normal mode on a PTR right now. There is more mechanics in this fight than all of Blackwing Lair combined. It is another twin fight. I would describe this fight as pulling on mechanics that we haven't seen for a long time. If I was to say to you wonderful people out there that this contains a mechanic from Leotheros the Blind, I'd be interested to know if you which mechanic it is. Okay, there is a mechanic that we have not seen since Leotheros the Blind. That's a long time ago, but it's in this fight. It is another twins fight, and it revolves around the idea of day and night and dusk. Okay, these are the ladies, corrupted healing, specifically something to do with that. Fighting yourself, yeah, something along those lines. Okay, there's going to be, I'll give you an idea of what's going on. There's going to be, you fight one of them during the day, and you also fight one of them during the night. When it is daytime, the other twin will appear randomly and do some shit. Either doing some raid damage or dropping various things for us to avoid. But essentially, you can only DPS one of them during the day phase and one of them during the night phase. Then will come dusk. Okay, we skip over everything, we go straight to dusk. And during dusk, you will fight both of them together. It's a combination of the Elementium Monstrosity from the Bastion of Twilight. I believe I got my words correct there. It's a combination of those kind of fight mechanics mixed in with fire trails, ice, all that kind of stuff. And it's also a combination of various other mechanics that have been drawn from various old encounters, such as Leotheros the Blind. So I'm going to show you this briefly. I believe the fight starts about here. As you can see in Phase 1, you're going to be fighting Lulin. Lulin is the wonderful, wonderful consort. And then, boom, you can see popping up here is going to be her sister, Suen, or sister or other lady who is part of this consort. Again, we're watching this from a Warlock point of view of Sparkugs. I would also like to mention Sparkugs has put up a video of him tanking. Yes, I know you Warlocks out there like your Warlock tanking. There's a video on Sparkugs' channel right now of him tanking LFR in demon form. So, there you go. You can go check that out, guys. It should be pretty cool. Now, as you can see here, here is the sister Suen. Suen is going to pop in. Yeah, it looks a little bit like the Eridar twins, I would agree. Suen pops in, and she's going to do her fire dance, and as you can see, she's basically just providing AoE damage. You can see all these wonderful sparks flying out of here, just causing various mayhem and raid damage. Now, first thing you'll notice is that the whole raid is spread out, okay? The raid is spread out for a number of reasons, including summoning various things like Cosmic Barrage. Cosmic Barrage is summon ability that she's going to be summoning. She dances in place, summoning a barrage of stars. Everything about this fight is worded as if it's really beautiful. So she summons a Moon Lotus, which puts people to sleep. She dances in place, summoning a barrage of stars, which is all good. Now, I want to pause it here. This is where I want to pause it. And as you can see, right there, there is an ad, and you'll notice that nobody is targeting it. This is the Leotheros the Blind mechanic, okay? And it's called the Beast of Nightmares. Lulin will pull a beast from her nightmares, commanding it to attack. This beast may only be attacked by the target on whom it fixated. So if you get the beast on you guys, alright? This is going to suck, because nobody... The great thing about this kind of mechanic is that healers have to do damage. It's not actually that bad these days. Healers tend to be okay with doing some form of damage. Let me just tell you, during Serpent Shrine Cavern, when this first mechanic existed, that shit wasn't funny. That shit wasn't funny. You know what I mean? That mean? You know what I mean? That shit ain't funny. Back then, it just was not funny. Whoa. Crazy people. Bump. Okay, it was all good times. It was all good times. But healers, you should be pretty much okay with this now. It's going to fix it on you. Only you can deal with it, which is cool. You can see she's going to pop in and do various bullshit to their entire raid. And they're going to be summoning these beasts are going to continue through. So this phase is basically a spread out phase. Nothing too difficult. You can see the stars firing out there. This can only occur... There's various abilities that are going to occur during darkness, which cannot occur during daytime. So we're going to skip to daytime. As you can see, you can only DPS Lulin. She's going to continue to troll it up. Trolling it up. Trolling it up. And then we get down to about here. And it switches to daytime. And there you go. Now you're fighting Suen. Then you're going to fight the other one. And again, similar to what you saw in Phase 1... the other one, Lulin, is going to be popping in and doing various kinds of nonsense. Now, this boss is very much like the Eridar Twins in terms of how much fire damage she's going to be putting out. It's a lot, and it also increases your stacks of how much damage you take from fire. There's going to be all sorts of AoE going on. You can see Sparkhooks over here is absorbing around 7,000, taking 66k ticks. Now, this is what Lulin's going to be doing for you. She's going to be dropping Icy Comets. Icy comets from the sky, which do a lot of damage, as you can imagine. So being spread is kind of cool. And as you can see, they're going to gather up here because the beam that's going to get used in a moment is actually going to protect you. You can see everyone's studying here and gaining this buff, protecting you from fire damage and saving you graces. Now, what you're actually trying to do in this fight is keep the Icy Comet for as long as possible because it stops a hell of a lot of raid damage. It stops a hell of a lot of raid damage. This beam lands on you, the sunbeam. It actually kills the Ice Comet in one go. That kind of sucks, right? Very easy. So you can see there's going to be decisions being made of when is she going to do her sunbeam and where is the Ice Comet. Because if we all gather up on the Ice Comet like that, there she drops an Ice Comet, and then we sunbeam it, we lose this protection that we're gaining from this shadowy area here. So you're going to be doing a lot of moving around, a lot of gathering, which is cool. She also does a fire trail, charging random people. If you've done Bastion of Twilight, you'll have seen that before. There's the sunbeam coming down there. And then we got maximum effect out of the comet. And that gives the healers good chance to refresh. So I don't want you to worry too much healers until later on in the fight. If you keep this rhythm up of the Ice Comet, you can see people aren't running to it immediately until Suen does her other ability. There's the sunbeam. All good. And then you're going to get the benefit of this and stop all this damage. It looks like a shitload of damage is taken, but once you use and abuse these shadows, there you go, move in. Oh, too late. The beam was in the wrong time and killed the Ice Comet. Fail, fail, fail. That's when things start going a bit pear-shaped. You see what's happening here? This is why a good rhythm is needed. Once she uses this Radiance, or using a Blading Radiance or Charge, you need to ensure that you're getting behind there and making sure that damage is going. But it's all pretty cool. This is actually going to be a bit of a cock block fight. I'm telling you, the cock up in this fight is going to lead you to some bad situations. Lots of tank damage, especially on the tank gaining stacks of how much fire damage. So there's going to be tank swapping as well. Tank swapping as well because you're getting these fire damage stacks that you need to reset in the Shadow Aura. You get a nice little warning. I just want to point this out in case people say that you get no warning. Oh god, I got sunbeamed and I couldn't prevent it. You do get some warning. There it is. That is your warning. You're about to get blown up. Get the hell out of there. And you're okay. You're all good. So a lot of tank swapping going on. So you can see the stacks going on the tank there. All good. Now, there's another part of this fight which isn't shown here, which is also going to cause you more and more confusion. More and more confusion. There is actually help from other people occurring, and you're going to go into a different area to get them going. They call it Celestial Aid. You're going to be able to select either Zuen, you know who he is, right? Nizao, I'm sure you've met him, Chi-Ji and Yulon. And they're going to give you various buffs. So there's actually going to be another phase to this fight that you can't see here. The people who are doing it wasn't Sparkugs, unfortunately. But you're going to go into a different phase. You've all done this kind of thing before. If you've ever done Feng the Accursed, you've gone into a different... You've clicked something and gone into a different phase. And then you're going to have to perform a task. This is where people fucking fluster. And this is why it gets a bit annoying. And it can also make people go, I hope I don't get picked. And you all get really terrified about being picked to do this kind of stuff. It's going to be fine until it's not difficult at all. So fortunate that Sparkugs didn't get to go and do it. I would love to have shown it you. But I will show you this again at some other fight. As this is going to be one of the more difficult fights, I suspect. I will cover this again when we've got a more accurate view of it. But you're going to go down into another zone and you're going to perform one of 4 tasks to get a specific buff. Okay? That's what you're going to be doing. So I just want to kind of play out the rest of this of Sue. And you can see the raid is starting to fall down a little bit. We do manage to get in there. We did lose Apco. I want it on record. Apco is really bad. Apparently the boss turned around and hit him, but Apco died, which is great. I love it when Apco dies on film. It's the best thing ever. Using the comet, trying to top everyone up, but of course Apco back on his feet, as always. And because he's a monkey's mass OP, and we're fine with that. Spreading out again. A lot of movement in this fight. A lot of movement, a lot of spreading. You don't want icy comets all over absolutely everybody. That would be bad. Dropping the icy comet and trying to get best use of that again. Getting in there, being prevented from taking the extra fire damage. Now you can see what happened there is it actually disappeared really, really quickly. Really, really quickly. Ice comet gone. Fail. Any fire attack on the ice comet is going to get rid of it immediately. Oh, Sparkugs getting hit. But still, tough fight. This is kind of like you know it's going to be a wipe. If you see your raid constantly sitting like this, you kind of feel like it's going to be a wipe. But they do get into the next phase, and there you go. There's both of them together. And this is the Dusk phase. Now, I want you to point out this is a potion, so I've reminded ever so slightly. This is the heal. If they're within 10 yards of each other, they're going to heal each other. So now you've got both of them to fight, and they're going to be spread out. All right? So they've got to be spread out. Go, multi-dotters. Go, you multi-dotters. So they're going to fight together in the third phase. And, of course, they maintain their health from the previous phases. But if you don't spread them quickly, you can see how quickly this happens. If we just go back just a few seconds as we go into the Dusk phase, they pretty much instantly start healing. Oh, the fighting heal. There's the elixir healing them 5%. You can see Sue ends up to 63%. It's a wipe already. But you can see these ideas continue throughout this phase. So there is in the Dusk phase, they do lose some of their abilities, but they also gain new ones, right? Every single phase of this fight has its own problems and its own mechanics. This is why it's going to be a really difficult fight. Because you're going to have to get through phase 1, fighting your own beasts, being spread out, dealing with all the materials and the sleeps and things like that are going on. Then you're going to come into phase 2. Requires a lot of spreading, a lot of gathering, a lot of resetting debuffs and so on and so forth. And that's going to be sucky ass too as well. Then in the third phase, you actually gain brand new abilities that you haven't seen throughout the fight at all. On top of that, you're also going to have players going into a different realm in order to activate these 4 buffs and get the benefit of those. I will tell you the kind of reason they didn't get the kill is not because it was too hard or anything like that, but in fact the other phase did bug. If you want to hear the conversation that went on via TeamSpeak during this fight, go to Sparkugs' channel and watch this. It's called the Twin Consorts, and you'll hear the conversation over TeamSpeak that in fact the underground other realm bugged out and they couldn't gain any of the buffs that they were supposed to get. That's kind of why they wiped. Other than that, the mechanics were pretty sound, okay? So I don't want you to be all like, oh, this fight is mega hard. Oh, it's overtuned. It's still a little bit buggy. This footage is taken from the PTR, but I like this fight. This fight is very interesting. There's 3 separate fights going on all at the same time. Really, really like that. I think that is pretty cool. Okay, so that is the end of today's workshop. Do you have any questions regarding anything we looked at today? Okay, not general questions. If you have any questions regarding something we looked at today, feel free to post them now. It does look fun. It looks incredibly fun. These are the fights that you shouldn't be going, oh my god, this looks really hard. You should be like, this fight looks fun, right? There's so much going on. I have a lot to learn, but it's all manageable. If we do this correctly, then it counters this ability. I like that. Action, reaction. If we pre-plan it, it's going to work just fine. Going to do just fine. how you'll deal with it. You'll deal with it in any normal fashion. Practice, practice, practice. Everything about this has a counter to it, but I do want to bring up what the dungeon journal looks like for this boss. It's pretty extensive. This is the dungeon journal for this boss, and as you can see, there's only 2 bosses, right? This is how many mechanics these guys have. All this. Yep. There's a lot to learn. A hell of a lot to learn. But that's good. A little bit of thought going into the fight, a little bit of discussion, and therefore you're going to have some good times with your friends. It's going to be a really nice kill. Really nice kill. Everything in there that I read, I already understood the counter to it. That's what I really like. There's no confusing mechanics in there. There's no confusing mechanics. It's more about how do we deal with this. The heroic mode looks particularly interesting. That's going to make a lot of use. You're going to have things like Nuclear Inferno to deal with, which are pretty cool. Yeah, heroic mode should be pretty cool. Pretty good. It is a lot. That's fine though. It's worth reading. Everything you read has a counter. Okay, it has a counter. So I'm really, really happy about this. Good. You should be excited. I hope you are excited with it. I hope you are excited. You're going to die in the fire and get carried to loot. Awesome. Awesome. It makes Madness look easy. Good. Madness is a bad fight. Madness is a bad fight. So I hope that. Okay. So I'm done for today. There should be a rather large video going on my YouTube channel tonight. I'm going to be working rather late. I have some Wave the Warrior 2 stuff planned with some people in this evening. I hope to get out everything else this evening. If not, it will be tomorrow at the latest. And I will see you again at 9 AM tomorrow for the live stream. We're going to be playing a lot of Boomkin tomorrow. I felt very, very happy with the Boomkin yesterday. Today, I had great fun with my Boomkin, which was awesome. And so thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the workshop. If you wish to submit to the workshop, all you do is upload a video of yourself playing to preachgaming@gmail.com. Just send it to me via email, upload it to YouTube, and I'll get the link. Send me the link. And any notes that's something you're particularly bothered by, okay? Like that Resto Shaman was like, oh my god, I know I fucked this up. You didn't. You didn't. You actually did really well. Take it easy, guys. And I will see you tomorrow. Right.